Hello, my divine being, and welcome to this week's episode of Confessions of a New Age Goddess. As always, I'm the New Age Goddess herself, Melissa. Joining me today is Tiffany Manbodh. Tiffany is an integrative nutrition health coach, author of 2 published books, and a lifelong learner. So, Tiffany, welcome to the pod.
Thank you so much for having me. I am honored and incredibly grateful just to be sharing this space with you today.
Likewise, I love sharing the space with like-minded people. It's just a great place to co-create.
Okay. Definitely.
Yes. And then Tiffany, so where in the world are you joining us from?
I am based in South Florida currently, so we've got lots of sunshine now, although the weather has seemed to go on a little bit of the colder side these days, and I'm really loving it. Like, I love this kind of weather in the sunshine state. I live for it.
Yes, of course. No, sounds good to me because I'm in Chicago, so slightly different over here. And then Tiffany, if you could kind of tell the audience a little bit more about yourself in your own words.
Sure. So for those of you listening, my name is Tiffany Manbodh. I am an author and also integrative nutrition health coach. I am a former teacher, so my actual degree is actually in education. I started off in pre-med originally because I thought I wanted to do medicine. But then I had a lot of health issues that brought me back home. And then I started taking a bunch of classes and fell into the education arena. And I loved it for a while. But then my health started to take a really bad toll. And coupled with a traumatic event many, many years ago, my health took a decline and I really had to take a step back and evaluate a lot of things in my life. Like, that was the first time I learned how to set boundaries with my own self and not feel guilty about it. Because it was really hard for me to resign from a job that I really liked, And so because I've had like so many different health issues, that is what got me really curious. And I started doing a lot of reading and research. And I used to work at a holistic clinic, like alternative healing center kind of thing. And I started learning about like natural healing and like all the different kinds of stuff. And I became really curious. So I thought I wanted to study something in Ayurveda, which is one of the ancient healing systems. And when I was doing my research on Google, I came across this school called IIN, the Integrative Institute for Nutrition. And I was like, okay, they've got a cool curriculum. They have stuff like meditation on there and anger management. I knew I had found the right place because it was very holistic and it wasn't just about nutrition. It was way more than nutrition.
Yes, definitely. And I like how your background, was in the medical field to start out with. So you kind of have that base, and then also teaching. I mean, it's so great to have knowledge, but if it can't be communicated to others, it's a little bit more limiting in my opinion. And also, I mean, myself and many others in the holistic health industry, it's always, I had a health issue, whether it be mental or physical, and I really needed to look for a resource for myself. And I always say, you are your own best test dummy, if you will, because you know what works for you. You know the symptoms firsthand. You know when you notice positive or negative changes. So that's always a really common foundation I see, and one that really yields good professionals in the field. Okay, great. And then, so to get a little more specific, how did you really hone in on the business of shifting to helping female entrepreneurs kind of heal their relationship with food and stress through mind shifting? I know that's really what you kind of focused in on once you had that base down. And where did you get inspired to help out with that niche?
Yes. So, this was actually something I struggled with for a very long time. And I hadn't realized it until not too long ago, maybe like earlier this year. Even in middle school and high school, like I was always super stressed and, constantly binging on like sweet stuff and snacks and a lot of processed things. And I hadn't really realized it until I got much older, a year ago. And I was really taking a deep look at my life at that time, going through some other personal development. And so I started to realize that I did have a problem. I had a sugar addiction. I was like craving sugar every single day around 3 o'clock time when most people are craving for coffee or something. And even after dinner, I felt unsatisfied. I felt like if I didn't have something sweet, I wouldn't be able to live. And
Right.
so I was in that cycle for a very long time until I came across another holistic practitioner who actually helped me realize, that, okay, well, we can use EFT tapping, which is emotional freedom technique. That has been very, very effective for me and helped me immensely. Where now I really don't have much cravings at all. Like I can see sugar and I don't feel like I need to have it because I know how my body is going to feel. Like sugar makes me tired about an hour or two after. So just really, I learned how to tune into my body and learn about what really satisfies me, and what's good for me, what feels good for me and my body. And so because I had my own experience with that and also like stress, like I was really stressed out where like I would have anxiety sometimes and I felt it in my body.
Yeah.
And so I started exploring stuff like energy healing and like aromatherapy and all kinds of stuff. And I got so much ease. And because I was able to have ease from that and like learn how to kind of get out of that stress cycle, I was like, I need to share this with the world. Like, I want to share this so bad. And of course, I want to share it with everyone. But I find like a lot of entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, especially like the ones who are their moms and they're balancing like maybe more than 10 hours a day with a family and kids. And maybe they don't have self-care practices. So I really wanted to work with that niche because I saw a need where my services can really be a healing tool for them. It can really be a gift for them.
Definitely, definitely. And yeah, I totally relate to that as well in terms of, having anxiety. I mean, to the point where I would have gotten panic attacks pretty regularly. And it's all about, yes, resetting the nervous system with the EFT tapping. And that's so interesting you brought that up because I actually suggested that to someone this morning. Someone called me and was kind of in a panic, and
Mhm.
she was just like, I can't calm down. And I said, okay, so what I want you to do is take your two fingers and start tapping under your eyes and say, I am calm, just something simple like that to get started. Because I know when you have that feeling and you just need something to kind of just lower the level of
Mhm.
anxiety, that really helps. And then also, of course, your niche too. I think a lot of times when people start out in a practice, especially a practice where you're helping other people or a business owner, you want to help everyone. And you really need to find your ideal client. You really need to see, hey, with my specific skills and talents, who is this for? And sometimes you think it's one maybe age group, but it's really another age group. Um,
Yeah.
so that makes sense that you kind of honed in on that group.
Yeah. A lot of stuff in the beginning, it's just trial and error. But I think, like, when you've come across the right niche, when you see that the people maybe you're working with, you start to notice the patterns or you see that they're really past versions of yourself, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. And that was something that I was struggling with for a long time too, when I had to find my ideal client. And, for a while, I kind of got hung up in my head. Well, I'm not a mother. Can I help mothers? And then I
Hmm.
realized, but what do the mothers need in terms of
Exactly.
information, learned practices? And when I knew that the skill set that I had was applicable to their needs, then that changed everything. And that really helped me find my ideal client avatar. So it's interesting. It's interesting that you don't have to necessarily always live through every single life experience in order to aid with it.
Exactly. Yeah. You just focus on their needs and how you can meet that need.
Of course. And then you did let us know that, the school IIN, why you were attracted to it, but could you kind of give us a little more color into that and what
Sure.
you need from it?
Yeah, so their curriculum, it's very holistic in the sense that it looks at the whole person. It focuses on the person's body, mind, and spirit, those three disciplines that are very important because when any of those elements are out of harmony, they really affect each other. And so there's this unique concept that my school promotes, which is bioindividuality. It basically says that, no two persons, they're the same, just like how, like Someone, they might eat peanut butter and then another person's allergic to peanut butter. So we just all need to be mindful of that. Cause especially when it comes to like all these trendy diets and stuff, like a person's gonna be like, oh, well, this worked for my friend. Let me try it without considering the needs of their body and how their body operates and functions with certain things. And so we just need to be mindful about that. Another concept that my school had that I really loved was primary food. So
Mm.
it's not just about nutrition anymore. Primary foods, they're things like your relationships, the quality, like what's the quality like of your relationships? Like, are you feeling very heard by your partner? Stuff like that. Or even like your colleagues. Other things like your physical activity. Are you engaging in movement that you enjoy? Are you working out to punish yourself? Stuff like that. And last but not least, spiritual practices, because it's grounding and it can look very different for everyone depending at what area they are in their life. It may look different for each person, but like these are all things that really add so much more vitality to a person, just to like balance them. Because it's not just about the food. Food is a part of the equation, but there's so much more that we need.
Yeah. And I really like that you mentioned that we're really looking at the whole picture, because let's say, you really have a good diet down, but, the other things in the picture aren't really up to par. So then it's kind of like you're not even getting the full benefit of this awesome diet that you have customized just for you.
Right. Like you can be eating the cleanest diet, but like if you're so stressed and like you're having so much anxiety where like your stomach is feeling in knots every day, like, okay, like there's a bit of imbalance there.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you're looking at the whole picture too, it's much easier to really hone in on what the pain points are. And even just things that I've noticed myself is that sometimes you don't even know what the issue is because we haven't gone deep enough with the whole process. So it might look on the surface like, oh, I have a great relationship, with my partner. They're a good person. We get along, but man, they're super messy. And every time I see a mess, it raises my stress levels. And now I'm stressed out. And I didn't even link it really to my partner. I just linked it to a messy kitchen. But really, when we're looking at a relationship in the whole picture, hey, it's my partner who, needs to clean up a little bit more. Maybe I'm speaking from experience. I don't know. But that's just one part of it. How if you're only looking at a piece of it, you're not going to get to the issue and it's going to be really foggy. But if you look at all the different pieces and how they work together, it's clear.
Definitely. And I like that you mentioned, something about going deeper. Like for me, it wasn't until I started going deeper that my awareness really started expanding. And when my awareness expanded, I just understood life in such a very different way. My interactions, like I'm seeing myself, I'm seeing my shadows, like I'm seeing my most toxic behavioral traits. And sometimes being with different partners, like you may see that with a partner, or you might come across it with the interactions with your colleagues. And just to understand that, okay, it's not really your identity, it's a behavior. And then you can make a conscious choice if you want to change the behavior or continue with it,
Yes, you always have that choice. I mean, in every moment, you have that choice. Because what's famously quoted is, I have emotions, I am not my emotions. And another big takeaway too that you made me think about is mirroring, that whole concept of, oh, I see someone who's maybe displaying a negative quality. Why is it bothering me so much? Maybe it's something that I have or something that I'm too extreme the other way. And I mean, you have relationships with certain people for a reason. I'm not talking about, family members that's an obvious reason why you have a relationship with them, but the friends you choose and things of that nature, there's always a reason why you're maybe drawn to someone and not drawn to another person. And then, I mean, I know since you have that background more where you started out more in traditional medicine and then you made that move over to holistic health. So I always like talking about that because I know there are people in the industry have also made that move or maybe combined the two. Do you notice yourself using anything from the traditional medicine side of thing on a regular basis, or is that just separate? Can you combine it? How do you feel about that?
Right now, so from my past experiences, like I've always like resorted to traditional medicine because that's what I had known, like when I was going through like being diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety and then depression, like the whole works, like I was just being sent from doctor to doctor and giving me pills. And the pills that I was taking, like some of them would make me feel sick. Some of them would make me feel like I'm having a hard time breathing. And like a part deep within my soul just knew that this cannot be it. Like there has to be something better. And so that's when the inquiry started. I started reading books and like really questioning them. And I could tell like some of them were like I'm the doctor, like why are you questioning me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And as a patient, like we do have patients, right? Like you can ask questions. You should feel free to ask these questions because at the end of the day, it's your health and you're the one feeling like crap,
Mhm.
so they might give you this and they think it's good for you, but they're trusting you because it's your body that's going to respond to the medicine they're providing you.
Yeah.
And based on that, that's when they give you something else or like they do whatever they have to do. So because of like my experience with that, and I started seeking out different things for myself, I really just focused on what felt good for my body. And so it was important for me to consult with my doctors and let them know, okay, like long term, like my goal is to be off of these medicines and I want to go the natural route. Like I've done the research, like here's what it's saying. And so like I did have this one doctor who had Eastern training. So
Mm.
I was thankful that she had Eastern training and she was open. Cause like if I had a doctor that was just like, okay, like this is dangerous. What you're saying is dangerous to your health.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would have been a bit disappointed, but I was grateful to have had the doctor who had both Eastern and Western training and listened to me, and honor that I knew what was going on in my body. And because I had the support of my doctor and was able to get off my medicines and use natural things to support myself, really simple things like meditation, that has been life changing.
Mhm.
Breath work, oh my gosh. Talk about like helping me to like calm when I'm having anxiety attacks or something. Breath work, EFT tapping, eating a lot of whole foods, less refined stuff and processed foods and sugar and things like that. All of it really, like I've never felt better in my body than I do now. Like in all of the years of my life, like I've never been this confident and vibrant in my life. And so because I feel the difference, I want to give this gift to other people as well and to
Yeah.
empower them and make them feel more alive.
That's exactly the word I wrote down when you were talking. I wrote empowerment because that's exactly the message that you were conveying without even saying the word yet. You were just like, "Hey, I want other people to take ownership of their health, of their body, mentally and
Mhm.
physically, because you're your number one advocate. No one knows you like
Yes.
you." So I think, yeah,
Hmm.
to your point, some people are afraid to ask questions because they're the doctor, but the doctor, if it's a good doctor, they want you to have that communication with you and say, "Hey, these pills are making me feel bad. They're actually
Hmm.
making me feel worse." The doctor doesn't know that because it might be, to your point, working better for someone else because we are so unique and it is not one size fits all.
Right.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so because you're doing this line of work, it's your business. How do you see your business evolving, yourself evolving? What do you see for the future to come?
So in the future, I could definitely see myself like hosting wellness retreats somewhere, maybe like Costa Rica or another location where it's very serene and peaceful, just to help them escape a little bit. Even if it's for like a weekend or a few days, like I definitely see myself doing retreats and probably some group programs as well, because I do want to build that safe space, build that tribe and community and just have everyone feel like they're in a place where they belong. There's friendship, there's laughter, there's a lot of joy.
Hmm. Yeah, and
And
I think that sense of community is imperative. I'm always been an advocate for it because how am I going to brainstorm? How am I going to get better if I'm not in that welcoming community where I don't have to, start from square one every time I want to talk about something, because I'm already with a community of like-minded people. They already got the base knowledge down, and we all have different talents and gifts, but that's where we really create something new, is when we're together in that sense of community.
Yes. And I definitely also could see myself, just even expanding my certifications. There's so many different things I've been toying around in my head, like maybe a meditation teacher or EFT practitioner. It's limitless. Possibilities are limitless, really.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like once you start getting certified in things, you're like, oh, well, this would marry so well with that. And that's also interesting. And there's just so much out there. And
I
it's
know.
like you just got to start with one or two of them and then kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, was there anything, that we didn't get to that you really wanted to let our audience know about?
Right now I have a community on Facebook. It's a Facebook group for busy boss babes or busy business women. It's called the Busy Business Women's Health and Healing Circle. And so I share a lot of content in there that are related to stress and their relationship with food, especially like things like emotional eating and mindless eating. I actually did an event, and it was my first in-person event last month, November, and that went really well with the mindful eating. And I think a lot of busy professionals, they really saw that, like, yeah, like eating, taking your time to eat and the way you eat and how engaged you are with your senses, like that is a game changer. Because, I feel like whenever they go to work, whether it's like a boss babe or like a busy professional, and they're like at their laptops and then they're trying to like eat the burger or something, or like they're driving to work in the car and like they're trying to finish the coffee or the donut or bagel, whatever it is, and they don't realize they're not being fully present. And by practicing mindful eating, you can really be much more present with your life and feel connected to what's in
Yeah.
front of you.
Yeah, that's so relatable. Because I remember in a past life, aka my early 20s, I used to be like that, and then I remember one time I finished eating lunch like at my desk and I started hiccuping and I was like, oh, that's weird. Like I didn't even like pay attention to it. And then one of my coworkers was like, yeah, you were eating like really fast. Like, of course you're hiccuping. And I didn't even like make the connection. I'm like, okay, I need to stop doing that because
Mhm.
obviously that's not good. But it's like, yeah, when you get these little wake up calls with your body, like, yeah, a headache or this and that. Well, what is it? Am I not hydrated? Your body's like tapping you. And then so it doesn't have to like knock loudly, but
Yes.
it's all relative. Definitely. Okay, great. And then so Tiffany, you definitely told us about your Facebook group, and I can link all this in the show notes. But how can we find you if someone wants to work with you? What does that look like?
Sure. The easiest way to find me is honestly on Instagram. My handle is the Holistic Heroine. And how I came up with that name, I just wanted to be someone who saves the day. And I'm like, okay, Holistic Heroine.
I like it. Okay, so yeah, Instagram definitely can link that. And then yeah, what I know you've hosted an in-person talk, but what does really working with Tiffany look like? What does that encompass?
So, working with me will require one to really dive deeper within themselves. And I do this through a unique form of questioning, in addition to like a bunch of other tools. But coaching, it's really this safe space. You have a safe space. We feel comfortable with each other. And I'm a guide. I don't tell you what to do, but I create this awareness. I pull out the stuff using a form of questions. And a lot of people, they notice things that they didn't notice about themselves before. Or maybe it was about like a certain event or situation in their lives. And some say it feels like therapy.
Yeah.
And I also have to clarify, I'm not a therapist or a nutritionist. However, the way in which I phrase the questions and what we talk about, it really, I don't want to say force, it really makes you go deeper, because I always want to get to the root. Okay, well, what's causing this? Or like, what do you think is causing it? Or maybe like someone, they're not keeping up with their routine. And so like we get deeper, like, why do you think you're not keeping up with it? Like, what is preventing you from keeping up with it? So we really go through the blocks and I help them to get past those blocks.
Yeah. And I think that's vital because, like you see yourself every day. You see yourself every day. Certain things are routine for you. But when you get an outside perspective on something, then they can say, hey, that's a miss. Like, why is that happening?
Mhm.
And yeah, I think even what you said, that you're a guide, because you can only help people so much. These are the people, to your point, they want to go deep. They've, scheduled time with you. So they're obviously, have to be somewhat serious about it.
Mhm.
And they need that sense of awareness, because a lot of times, something feels amiss, but you can't put your finger on it. But someone who's kind of seen a wider perspective of it, they can kind of like point it out. And then, yes, I think that's when the healing or the life changes start to emerge.
Yes, absolutely. That's perfectly explained.
Got to sum it all up, right? Okay, great. All right. Well, Tiffany, I want to thank you so much for your time today. It was enlightening. I learned stuff, and that's kind of the aim of the pod, so that people can learn new things, and learn it, from a professional like yourself. I think that's just a great way to really reach out to people.
Thank you so much. And if I can add one more thing, just to our viewers and whoever's listening, don't wait for a health crisis to take care of your health. Don't be like me. It's better to use like preventative measures now and you don't get there, so your health, like take care of your health now. Like don't wait for tomorrow or next week or next year. I mean, like the new year is about like a short while away. Don't wait to start something new on New Year's. Like the
Right.
time is now. Because if you started like even today or tomorrow, you're going to be farther than you would have been if you'd waited to start until next year.
Yeah, yeah. And I totally agree with that. Like watch when it drizzles, don't wait for the storm. And
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, some people, they're like, oh, I want to start today, but I don't know what to do. That's where someone like you, a guide, comes into place.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, this is just another great example on how spirituality and the use of different methods and teachings can really make great changes in your daily life. As always, if you are looking for a way to relieve stress and anxious thoughts, or looking to gain some clarity, you can always book a Reiki energy healing or Akashic Records reading session with me at thenewagegoddess.com. Much love and namaste.